Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au, bringing you my regular feature Hotspot of the Week. One of my strong themes this week, and looking forward to coming weeks as well probably, is the reality that the strongest markets in Australia right now are not in the capital cities, they're in the regions. We have some very, very strong regional property markets at the moment, leading on price growth and uplift in sales activity. And I'm going to feature one of them tonight, the one that I think is probably right now the strongest individual market in the country, certainly for the last 12 months in terms of activity and price growth, and that's Newcastle. But I want to sort of switch the focus, having initially spoken about why I think Newcastle is the strongest market in the country right now, to the neighbouring areas, because that's where I think we're going to see some future growth. Much of the growth has already happened in Newcastle. Now, Newcastle is the seventh largest city in Australia. It's bigger than two or three of our capital cities. It's a very strong economy in its own right, and so it's got a strong property market because it is a strong regional economy with lots of diversity, a major export port, all sorts of things, a RAF base. It's links to the Hunter region nearby with its horse industry and its wine industry, tourism, power generation, all sorts of different things, all part of the economic mix for Newcastle, this very strong regional city. So it's got its own reasons to grow, but it's also benefited from its links to Sydney. So it's also caught some of the wave, some ripple effect from the boom in Sydney, and increasingly Sydney buyers have looked at Newcastle. And a couple of years ago, the price comparison was very attractive. There's a possibility for people to buy and live in Newcastle, and perhaps even commute to jobs in Sydney, because the links are good between the two places. So Newcastle's market has risen, and in the last 12 months, pretty much all the suburbs of the city of Newcastle have had double-digit growth in their median prices, and many of them have actually had more than 20% growth in their median prices. So very, very strong market with very strong price growth. So the best time to buy in Newcastle was, say, 2 years ago. But as often happens, the growth and the central market is now rippling out to some of the nearby places. And one of those places is the local government area of Lake Macquarie, and also then we have the towns of the Hunter region nearby, places like Maitland and Cessnock, further out to Singleton and Muswellbrook. But just looking at some of the numbers, Newcastle, suburbs like Adamstown, Hamilton, Merewether, median price growth 20 to 25% in the last 12 months, and then others have grown, say, 17, 18% like Katara and Mayfield. I mentioned next door is the local government area called Lake Macquarie. It's all part of the Newcastle metropolitan area. It's just that it's its own local government area. It's caught the wave. Part of the attraction there is that the pricing is a little bit cheaper than downtown Newcastle, but it's also now seen some very substantial price growth. A lot of suburbs have grown in double digits in the last 12 months. Some are 14, 15%, and one is, according to these figures, is 30%. It's probably a statistical aberration, but it does indicative of the fact that that particular area has had very, very strong price growth. What I think is going to happen is the next growth wave is going to be in the towns and suburbs out in the nearby Hunter region. So we've got places like Cessnock, Maitland, Greta, Curry, Singleton and Singleton Heights, Muswellbrook. Again, affordability is attraction. Pricing in Newcastle after the recent very high growth is now quite high. Not so many cheap suburbs in the Newcastle local government area anymore, but out in the Hunter region, you've got a number of towns with median prices in, say, the mid 300,000. So the pricing there is a lot more attractive than in Newcastle City, and the rental yields are much higher too. Many of the towns and suburbs through that Hunter region near Newcastle have median rental yield somewhere between 5 and 5.5%. So it becomes quite attractive for property investors when you look at those numbers. You just have to believe there's going to be some growth there, and I think the growth is coming. The Hunter region has been a strong growth market in the past. Then it went through a downturn because developers flooded the market with new product. They built too many new house and land packages and created high vacancies. That's all been absorbed. The economy of the Hunter region is coming strong again, and we're seeing sales activity pick up a lot in those areas, and that's a precursor, I think, to price growth. And some of the towns have already had some pretty substantial sort of 9, 10, 11% type price growth. Cessnock, median price up 10%, for example, in the last 12 months, based on almost 400 house sales. Median price is now 340,000. So pretty solid market, coming strong again, and underpinning it all is the local economy and lots of big spending happening in Newcastle and in the Hunter region. It's a resources sector area, big export port. The Williamtown RAF base is having right now $1 billion spent on development and expansion there. We've got expansion of the port of Newcastle, billions of dollars being spent there. That's an ongoing thing that seems to be constantly happening. Road projects, the Hexham bypass, $600 million. Inner city bypass on Newcastle, $280 million. Newcastle light rail project, $500 million. An aerospace centre at Williamtown near the RAF base, $500 million. There's a marina project, almost $400 million. And then lots of big residential developments, including the creation of new suburbs, major master plan communities. There's a lot happening, a lot of construction jobs. The CBD of Newcastle is being revolutionised with urban renewal projects, development of apartment projects. So just a very vibrant economy, lots of money being spent on infrastructure and property development. And we're seeing strong price growth. And my expectation is that the growth we've already seen in Newcastle is going to be felt out in those towns in the Hunter region as well. So it's really one to take notice of. In terms of recent price growth, arguably the strongest market in all of Australia, including the capital cities. Growth higher than we've seen in the hottest of the capital cities right now, which is Hobart, and prospects for ongoing growth out there in the Hunter region. So really worth a look, as is regional Australia generally, particularly right now, New South Wales regional markets and Victorian regional markets. I think in a little while we'll be talking more about regional markets in Queensland, but right now the big action, the strongest markets are regional New South Wales, regional Victoria. Even as their capital cities wind down, those regional areas are cranking up. Newcastle has been the forefront of it. We think its growth is going to ripple out to some of the neighbouring areas, so they're the ones to watch. So the Newcastle and Hunter region is this week's hotspot of the week. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to the hotspotting.com.au website and go to the location reports page. We have a location report on Newcastle. We have a location report on the Lake Macquarie local government area, the market in its own right, next door to Newcastle. And then we have a location report on the Hunter region as well. So there's three there that cover the area I'm generally talking about tonight. So get those reports. They're packed full of good, solid information, analysis, easy to read, and give you the reasons why we think these markets are worthy of consideration. Okay, so that's for now. That's Hotspot of the Week for this week. It's Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. I'll talk to you again soon.